to our TED Talk. We're scrubbed in with pause and protocols. Today, we're going to go over how pets may behave in different types of scenarios and situations. We're going to start with general animal behavior and how us as humans can affect that.
So, I think general basic questions that a lot of pet owners have are, do our home environments affect our pets? There's a lot of research and studies that I looked up that they absolutely do affect them. Our housing situations and the environments we put our animals in have a big effect on their behavior, their mental status, and a lot of other things, including physical. But there are, for examples, dogs are very impacted by their environment. Their sensitivity to the environment changes, and it is very dependent on their upbringing as well, of how they react to things in their new environment. Dogs also very much rely on routine. If they don't have consistency within their routine, they can be very unpredictable. They can seek their own fulfillment to make up for the loss that they don't have. And that can result in things like confusion, frustration, destruction, or just general harmful behavior. And like I said before, introducing them to different environments, different people, different things at a young age have a high impact on making them more adaptable to everything that they're newly exposed to. Because new things for dogs are extremely scary, and they don't know how to react to new things most of the time. But if you give them that ahead of time, they already know what to expect.
And does this affect other animals?
Well, some of the things I found were about exotics. So, for instance, basic needs a lot of the times are not met with exotic animals, such as a large number of reptiles die within 1 year of being owned in people's homes. And it was also found that certain reptiles often suffer from soft bone disease due to poor diet, and a lot of them don't have adequate enclosures, which does not give them the space to thrive and grow that they need.
What's some important information that I would need to know before buying an exotic pet?
To give some feedback on your question there are quite a few things you can do before buying an exotic pet. Really, you should start with finding exotic vets in your area and asking them as many questions as you can. Because you definitely need to be educated on behavioral and environmental needs and how they would adapt to living in a home with a human and or other pets. You need to understand rules and regulations in the area of where you live as well, and especially if you are allowed to have them in-house or if you're allowed to do outside habitats, etc. You should also be able to educate yourself too before you go out and start buying exotic pets. Do a lot of research, call around, ask rescues, talk to as many people you know and other people you know that own the exotic pet that you're looking for. And knowing all this plays a role into knowing their diet, their housing, sociability, their mental and physical stimulation, people handling techniques, know their stress issues, and what is needed for a good quality of life to have them in the home with you.
Speaking of exotics, birds need natural enrichment as well, so they can pursue their natural bird behavior. If they're not enriched, it can actually lead to self-injury, aggression, or they'll start to vocalize a lot. Since there are avian smugglers, this can lead to the birds being harder to rehome and find a safe space to go. Terror, stress, and trauma from these avian smugglers actually impact their health and welfare.
Dogfights are cruel and harmful events in which a clear impact on animal welfare. For this reason, many countries have banned these events, animal fighting, including dog fighting, and it is a prime example where animals often require veterinary care to either treat wounds or fractures or to manage pain associated with tissues and where death may even be a result. How this goes along with behavior is having been previously attacked by another dog may be a triggering factor for the aggressive animal to become aggressive killing behaviors.
Which brings us to the next topic of trained versus untrained animals. Being trained, there's many different ways to do it. For example, there's an aversive method, which you're less likely to interact with strangers, which is damaging, which has damaging effects on the welfare and the human bond. There's also a reward-based training, which grazes more towards owners more frequently during training. And then we also have the untrained, where your physical punishment is less likely to interact with owner during play. They struggle to understand and respond to human cues, commands, and that also leads to confusion and frustration for both ends. Training in different ways like that can limit opportunities. It can restrict participation in activities in public spaces where trained dogs are welcome. It also leads to isolation and reduced socializing.
Kind of opposing that, when it comes to habitat loss, it can change existing habitats and remove sources of shelter, water, and food, such as fruit-bearing trees. Animal species threatened by forest loss may also face increased competition with others and can be at a higher risk for being killed by predators who have lost their habitat. Animals are social creatures, suffer greater mortality rates during these events, and this means that some might not survive long enough to reproduce, while others could lose their entire population.
For example, animals need tryptophan in their diet, and high-protein diets usually have low tryptophan. It's an essential amino acid that's converted into the brain as serotonin. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that regulates mood, sleep, and appetite. So if you have low tryptophan, it's low serotonin, which can result to animals having lots of anxiety, fear, and aggression. 30 years ago, there was a report with dogs that had high-protein diets, and 32% were actually more territorially aggressive.
So, can you tell me some ways I can boost my dog's tryptophan levels?
To boost your pet's tryptophan levels, diets with turkey, chicken, eggs, cheese, fish, and even milk are common food sources for this.
What about captivated animals and their diets? Or what do we see?
For examples, animals that are captivated, they don't normally have a high tryptophan level, so they're normally hand-fed, which leads to them losing natural instincts, which also causes limited environmental enrichment. Commercial break.
Hey listeners, we'll be right back with more Paws and Protocols, but first a quick word from our sponsors. Are you looking for high quality veterinary scrubs that can keep up with your busy day at the clinic? Look no further than Vet Style Apparel, where comfort meets functionality. Designed by veterinary professionals for veterinary professionals, Vet Style scrubs are durable, breathable, and tailored to move with you, no matter how many patients walk through your door. Plus, listeners of Scrubbed In get 15% off their first order with the code PAWS15 at checkout. So head on down to vetstyleapparel.com and treat yourself. You earned it. Now let's get back to the show.
Okay, we're back. Back to what I was saying. Limited environmental enrichment can cause a lack of control. That way you see more self-mutilation, over-grooming, and loss of their natural instincts.
Going along with animals in captivity, animals testing is a huge factor when it comes to animal behavior. Typically kept alone in steel cages with little room to move around and few, if any, comforts, animals often become excruciatingly lonely and anxious. Animals in laboratories can associate humans with painful situations, and with no way to hide or get away, they panic when a person approaches their cage or freeze with fear when they are taken into treatment rooms. Animals are typically killed once experiments are over, so that their tissues and organs can be examined. It is extremely rare that animals are either adopted out or placed into a sanctuary after research is conducted on them. However, more and more states are passing laws that require laboratories, when possible, to offer dogs and cats to shelters and other rescue organizations. As of December of 2023, 16 states have such a law.
Animal testing can negatively affect animal behaviors. Some animals can still be used in a good way to research some illnesses and diseases. Some disease, such as degenerative joint disease. In 2010, there was a study of 100 cats actually that were aged 6 months to 20 years, and 92% had evidence of degenerative joint disease. This can lead to a change in the dynamic and relationship between the owners and pets. The pets may start declining and they may get incontinent, have trouble getting in and out of the litter box, going to the restroom, and having more accidents in the house. Other illnesses, such as osteoarthritis, is very common. It can make pets not want to play as much and be in pain. They may cry and whine due to discomfort and have reclusive behavior as well. Going off on that, for senior pets, they may have some kidney disease problems, which lead to them having poor appetite, losing weight, nausea, and abdominal pain, which can all affect their behaviors in the...
And with that being said, amongst all my podcast members, as we were really just trying to get the point out, is that animal behavior can be expressed in many different ways, not just with how we treat them, but with us as humans, and how we go about our daily lives, not realizing what we do affects animals. Even things like general animal behavior, how humans influence their behavior, their health, pain, diet, illnesses, and how the environments we put them in affect them as well. All of these things contribute in to their daily lives, their daily activities, their mental state, their emotional state, and their physical state.
Well, folks, that wraps up today's episode of Paws and Protocols. We hope you enjoyed diving into the world of veterinary medicine with us and gained some valuable insights along the way. We're incredibly grateful for your time and for choosing to spend part of your day with us. If you found today's episode helpful or inspiring, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and share with your fellow animal lovers. Until next time, take care, stay curious, and keep advocating for the health and wellness of our animal companions. Thanks for listening. Until next time.